This meeting is being recorded for Area 58 broadcast.
It now being after 5:30, I hereby call the January 26, 2026 meeting of the Plympton Finance Committee to order. This meeting is being held by remote means. Access information was included in the posted agenda. Now let us begin. Jason Frazier, would you just please tell us why you have wanted to come and talk to us today?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. Two reasons. I wanted to give you a general update on the Plympton School Committee's preliminary budget, and I wanted to bring you up to speed on the Silver Lakes preliminary budget as well. And in that, mention and seek guidance from the Plympton Finance Committee on how we should fund our capital plan moving forward. So I don't know where you would like me to begin. Dennett is a much simpler nut for us to crack, or we could jump right into Silver Lake.
Let's do Dennett and be done with it quickly.
All right. So it looks like we're going to be able to hand you a 2.5% increase at the Dennett. This is after some pretty healthy offsets. We're anticipating about $150,000 in circuit breaker, about $70,000 in IDEA grants, about $30,000 in REAP grants, and about $40,000 in rural aid. So after we take those, the overall increase would be about a 2.5% increase. We've only included one vocational student, and that's a student that we currently do have on roster. We did not add an additional seat, and I seek your guidance as to whether or not you would like us to add that seat or deal with it if it happens. Additionally, we did have in our budget $12,100 for repairs and upgrades to our phone system. The members of the committee believe this would probably be better served as a warrant article because it's a one-time capital expense. And again, we want to seek the guidance of the Finance Committee of whether or not we should keep it in the budget or if you would like us to introduce it as a warrant article instead. So that is the summation of Dennett's budget. We're in good shape right now. There's obviously some things we could add back in that we've lost over the previous years, but we don't want to do that until we have some guidance from you and until we have some more definitive numbers from the state.
Could you tell me once again approximately what the cost is for a vocational student?
So a vocational student can cost us around $60,000. We generally budget for $38,000 per student, and that has sufficed the request of the students that we have had in Plympton on the years I've been on the school committee. So this year we have exactly how much it costs to send a single student.
You have 38,000 or 60?
We have 38,000.
Okay, I'm
So
confused.
we have no wiggle room for a new student to join or change to a different setting.
So is this 38,000 for an existing student?
Correct.
Okay, okay. So we have nothing budgeted for in the event that somebody else wants this. Okay.
That's correct.
How do you feel? What the committee members feel about this?
I think I'm okay with it. I mean, we can always address it if necessary.
And that's how we felt when we presented it to you, but we just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page.
Ann, what's your thought?
I feel the same way. Putting it in there in the off chance that it does happen, I think it's a presumption we don't need to make.
All right. Okay. Since there are only three of us here, I would contend to go along with the group as well. So we should probably leave it as you have it set up now.
Okay.
There's four of us now.
Hey, Steve.
Oh,
Hey.
okay. Didn't see you, Steve. I'm glad you're here.
All of a sudden, Zoom got to be so complex.
It's because we haven't used it for so long.
I know it. It was
So
so
did you-
simple back in the day.
Back in the day.
They told me to install an app.
Did you hear what Jason had to say?
I didn't know.
All right. Basically, it boils down to we have $38,000 available for, well, needed for an existing vocational student. And the question was, do we want to budget any more in the event that one might appear, or leave it as it is and address it later if the need comes up?
Okay.
Committee without you had said that they were willing to go along with it in the event that it came up later.
Yes, I agree.
Agree? All right.
Yep.
All right, fine. Okay. The next issue, Jason?
The only other question that the Plympton School Committee had was whether or not to take that $12,100 out of the operating budget that we do currently have included for the phone system upgrade and repair, and offer it as a warrant article at town meeting instead.
Well, we don't want it to just sit there, do we?
We currently have it in that 2.5% number that I presented to you this evening. But again, I just didn't know if you wanted something that's a one-time capital expense in our operational budget or not.
Jason, is this something that normally would go into the operating budget, or generally speaking, is it just something that they would deal with as a capital expense?
Could be handled either way, Dan. I've seen in my time on the committee, projects of this size go either way. But generally, when we hit something over about 10 grand, we do ask the question of whether or not the town wants us to move forward as a warrant article or to wrap it into the operating budget. Luckily, with the number being as good as it is, in my opinion, a 2.5 after some of the things we've seen in recent years, I would be comfortable either way, but just wanted to seek guidance from you on Finance Committee and our town manager.
How is the existing phone system?
How old is it?
How is it, well, how old is it and how is it? Is it in good shape or not?
No, so we're going to be without a phone system by January if we don't repair it. Again, it's one of those issues where no one is maintaining the current voice over IP system we moved to about 10 years ago. The good news is the price is actually lower than last time we did it. So $12,100 is the new cost to put in the software and the hardware to continue to have access to all of the classrooms and for calls to come in and out of the Dennett. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still some copper wire, hard lines in and out of that building, and almost every single person in that building over the age of 18 has a cell phone as well. But we do see it as a safety and security issue to make sure that we can have access to the building via our phones. I did ask Kathy and our senator to put this in as an earmark for us potentially, but they told us that that might be one area of the state budget that gets cut first is the earmarks. So can't guarantee we're going to get funding from them. We're going to have to do it one way or another to maintain the phone systems. I think
So
January
anywhere.
2007, they will stop functioning. So we do need to get it in this fiscal year.
I tend to think we should have it as a warrant article, but I don't know what everybody else thinks.
I'm leaning that way too, Marilyn.
Yes, Dan?
I think it's probably better. My only fear is that if we make it a warrant and it's something the budget can absorb now, and it goes to a town warrant and gets shot down for whatever reason, because sometimes hokey things happen at the town meeting. And now we're without a phone system come January.
I-
When we could have just rolled it in operating budget.
Yeah.
Pretty unlikely at town meeting. The town's pretty good for this with the school system, particularly if it's a phone system and has anything to do with any type of an emergency situation that could arise. I tend to disagree, but
No, I think it should be a town warrant period. In general, I just raised the concern that it would get to the town meeting and people wouldn't see it as a viable expense for the school to upgrade the phone system.
okay.
I might be just looking too far into it, but I think it should be a warrant.
It would be more than an upgrade.
It
Are you
would
saying,
it would not be an upgrade. It would basically be phones or no phones at the Dennett next
Yeah,
year.
replacement.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would be able to speak to exactly when they would go offline and the consequences of that happening at town meeting.
I think the chances are very good that people would vote in favor of it. That's my opinion.
Yep.
Okay, so the Plympton School Committee will withdraw that from our overall operating budget, and we will be submitting that to the Board of Selectmen as a warrant article.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so that's it for Dennett, unless anyone has any other questions for me. Okay, so
Silver Lake.
here we go. Silver Lake. As you guys all know, Silver Lake has had some budgetary issues the past couple of years where I've encouraged the use of E&D to help pay operating budgets to try and forestall override situations for our 3 member towns. The good news is this year, the way the budget is coming in, we've realized some extraordinary relief from circuit breaker and some IDEA grants. That's federal, basically, circuit breaker funding for special ed services. We have a brand new special ed director on campus at Silver Lake, and we are realizing a lot of recuperated funds of monies we've spent over the past 2 years. So I do not think we will have to use E&D this year to help supplement and offset the operating budget. That being said, the budget came in at a little over 3.25%. And in light of the proposal I'm about to make to you, we've asked the superintendent to bring that number down to no greater than a 2.5 budget increase. Because we understand that the stress on the towns and the schools' budgets being the biggest stressors on all 3 of the communities, but also to gain a sense of balance with the proposition I'm about to make to you this evening. So, as you all know, we've been doing a capital plan since 2016 on these buildings, and we've been utilizing E&D funds to do so. And since 2016, we have spent $6 million on the maintenance and repairs of the buildings. A significant portion of that went to repairing the roof, because during the snowpocalypse of 2015, we were told by the fire marshal that we needed to shovel off the roofs or he would cancel our occupancy of the 2 buildings. Turns out later on, he has no right to do that. And our engineers said we were nowhere near the load specifications for that to happen. But regardless, we punctured the membrane of the roofs in thousands of places on both buildings. We spent about $2 million just on the roofs alone and fixed them to the point that we actually got them back under warranty. We also had major water infiltration because of the way that flashing was done and some of the sealing was done on the buildings, and just general maintenance as these buildings become older and older. Right now, we're sitting with 2 buildings up the street that are 20 years old and they're not getting any younger. The issues are, we knew that E&D was not going to be a sustainable way to fund the capital expenses and repairs of those 2 buildings. If you look at them as $500 million assets, we're basically spending less than 0.1% per year on maintenance on those buildings in our capital plan. Most rules of thumb would say it should be closer to 1 to 3%. And we realize that's a lot to ask of our 3 communities to be putting $5 million to $15 million a year into these buildings. But the truth of the matter is, we just recently had another engineering and architect analysis of the building back in the spring of 2025 that we did share with the finance committees and the Board of Selectmen of all 3 towns. Marilyn, you did come on a tour of the facilities with us, and we discussed some of this at a very high level back then. But the truth of the matter is, the E&D funding of our capital plan is not predictable and sustainable. But we are ending the mortgages that our 3 towns collectively took out on those buildings. The exempt capital is going to be rolling off. 700,000 of it this year, 600,000 of it next year. And what the Silver Lake Regional School Committee would appreciate is us being able to hold on to these dollars and put them into our maintenance of our facilities. That engineering report says that we have over $56 million of repairs we need to make in the next 10 years. We've analyzed it ourselves. We believe we can handle some of the repairs internally in our own operating budget under our own maintenance lines. We think some of it may be a little bit exaggerated in our opinions, though none of us are engineers or architects. We do have a facilities director, and we do now have a house doctor that kind of gives us that higher level advice on how to move forward with our capital planning and maintenance. So what we would like to do is we would like to recapture this year the $700,000 that's rolling off and put it into the operating budget for Silver Lake under the Silver Lake Stabilization Fund that was established at town meeting just a few years ago. And then next year, if this is the will of the towns and the voters, we would like to recapture the $600,000 that's rolling off as well, making it a net neutral impact on our taxpayers, but with the understanding that this would have rolled off this year and next year had we not come up with this plan. The option besides this is taking out a $60 million bond to cover all of these repairs, because if you annualize them out with inflation, it's actually closer to a $73 million problem that we have right now. But unfortunately, that would basically quadruple Plympton's current payments towards that debt. So instead of us being at about $137,000, we'd be looking at closer to $500,000 if we took out a 20-year municipal bond at 60% for $60 million. Worst case scenario, we let these buildings fall apart. Two new buildings, like the ones we have up the street right now, would cost us well over $500 million. That would be a shame because these buildings should last for at least 50 years, and we're only getting about 25 years in on both of the buildings. But the roofs are going, the windows are going, have to put some epoxy floors into the CTE wing, which is actually original to the 1974 construction. We just have a lot of projects coming up there, and I'm seeking your guidance, your support on us recapturing that funding.
What are the constraints on the stabilization account?
So the stabilization account specifically says that's just for capital. So if we put the dollars into that fund, it would act like any other stabilization fund. If we didn't use the money, it would actually accrue interest. But at this point, Marilyn, I think the 1.3 million a year, we would continue to publish and publicize our capital plan, and you would see that we would be draining exactly $1.3 million per year for our capital for the foreseeable future. It's not even going to be enough to do everything we need to do. I'm hoping this gives E&D a chance to replenish to the statutory 5% of our operating budget, and we might be able to draw from that once in a while to do some of the bigger parts of this project. But this doesn't even preclude that we might not come to the three towns with warrants once in a while. $73 million, if we did it $1.3 million at a time, would take 56 years for us to do all of the projects on that building. It's still less than 0.25% of the value of the buildings. But we understand the constraints the towns are facing and the appetite of taxpayers to invest more money in buildings right now. So we're hoping this net neutral approach is something that everyone can swallow and accept, because the consequences of us not taking care of these buildings is dire and drastic for all of us, including the taxpayers of our three towns.
How long do you think this net neutral business can go on? How many years?
Well, so if we put 700,000 in this year, it's 600,000 in next year, that effect will be net neutral. Now, once that's part of our budget, we can keep it at 1.3 million, or we can let it grow at 2.5%. We would probably come back and ask what's the will of the three towns yet again of how we approach this. And it would be a line item in our budget that would be very easy to dissect and very easy for the towns to see. And again, we've published our capital plan to the towns and sought approval to use E&D now for the past 10 years. So we would continue that practice of publicizing, publicly voting our capital plan and showing the correlation between the dollars put in and the dollars that we're spending. So there's an annual safeguard right there to see what's been accomplished, how many dollars have been spent, and has this capital been spent on capital. For us to move money as a school committee from lines is not as easy as people think. It would necessitate a public vote. And if we moved it out of this, I've already said to the school committee, every single one of them should resign because that's not the purpose of the funding here. So this is not the school committee of 15, 12 years ago. The school committee has been very, very transparent and forward with the towns, the finance committees, the board of selectmen, town administrators, and town managers of all three towns. And we intend to keep the trust that we've built over the past decade.
What do the members think? What's your opinions?
I wish we didn't also have a fire station that people were hoping that money could be rolled towards.
I understand. And I saw the will of the voters last year at the ballot box. I've been following our own town properties committee, but understand that these two buildings actually represent the biggest investment of physical property of Plympton, not the fire station. I would have loved to have seen us take care of that fire station issue last year. I am doing this very consciously, knowing that we still have the fire station project ahead of us. And that's why I'm trying to establish a net neutral maintenance plan for those buildings so Plympton has more wiggle room. There are things at Silver Lake High School in particular that if they go, could shut down portions or that entire building for a sustainable period of time. Specifically the major HVAC system over the cafeteria. It's operating at about 30% efficiency right now. It's being held together with hopes and dreams at this point. If that goes out, we could end up losing occupancy of the building in our food handling section of the building. We've let some things go very, very long because of the lack of
Why?
because of the lack of investment, Marilyn. We have tried to get this happening. Maybe you recall about 4 years ago, we had a warrant article put in for 2 air handlers on the roofs of the building. And by the time we got the actual quotes, the cost had quadrupled on us from the time we got the good faith oral, bid number until we finally got it on paper. There was a lot of free money floating around after COVID, federal dollars, specifically for HVAC situations. And we have just seen the prices of roof systems that can handle the capacity we're looking for at Silver Lake High School quadruple in price. So we have an air handler on the top of the roof that we're going to need to repair that's getting close to $700,000 to fix. And we've all had some fiscal difficulties the past few years. We've been doing the best we can to maintain with what we have.
I'm not jumping onto another subject, but I'm concerned also, is our health costs going to increase dramatically for the school system?
We're anticipating double digits like we did last year and for the next foreseeable couple of years. Yes. Unless we hear differently, that's what we're anticipating in our budget.
Same
So
on the town side, Marilyn. We're
Pardon
hearing
me?
same on the town side. We're hearing like 11 to 13%.
Yeah, that's another major concern.
Absolutely. And we're budgeting in for double digits in the school budgets.
You're budgeting that for this starting when?
It's in the budgets that we've already presented.
Okay. So meanwhile, back to the
Yeah,
capital.
right. And I know that there's no easy answer to this one. And obviously it's the will of the communities, it's the will of the voters. But we have a net neutral position for the taxpayers to get us $1.3 million a year to chip away at some of the most major issues at the Silver Lake campus. Or we can try for your muni bond for 60 million. Or we can just try and warrant article every single little piece of a 120-page engineering report and try and take care of the building that way. I know what I prefer, but obviously I'm just one man with one vote.
What's going to happen in the third year? You have 700,000 then, you may have 600,000 next year. Okay. You do pay me to do that.
So I went as simple as I could. I tried to Ross Perot this, you know?
Yes.
So if you watch the Silver Lake presentation, which I encourage all of you to do if you haven't watched it yet, because that's the most comprehensive I've made, you can see that at the end of 3 years in FY28, we're at a net zero increase. Now, that 1.3 million will be in the Silver Lake operating budget in the Silver Lake stabilization line. I will come back to whoever's on the finance committee at that point, and I will say, hey, do you want me to leave it at 1.3 or can we let this grow at 2% or whatever we're growing the rest of the budget at to maybe chip away a little bit faster at the problems and not wait 56 years to be able to finish everything. So that conversation will have to be had when we finally get there. First, we have to just decide if this is even the mechanism that we all agree on moving forward with. And this again, I understand it's not the most straightforward thing in the world for people to kind of wrap their heads around. I did present again at the library, and I know that I've been invited back and it's going to be publicized more widely. And generally, the consensus is if it's a net zero increase to taxpayers and it's going to take care of some of the issues now instead of creating bigger headaches for our towns later, we should probably give it a shot. But again, we have to see how people feel. And that's why I wanted some direction from you all before I go too far down this path. Because I'm already telling my superintendent that she's probably going to have to cut 4 teachers, 2 aides, 1 admin, and some stipend positions to get the rest of the budget down to 2.5%. Right. So I'm trying to bring that number to a 2.5, add the 700 on top of it. But after you see your exempt capital drop off, the overall increase to the budget, even with this money put in, should be a 2.5% increase. Now, I don't know how that's going to work out for the assessments for the 3 different towns, but that's what we're asking for. If she was bringing in a budget closer to 3 or 4 or 5%, I wouldn't even be trying this year. I'd throw my hands up in disgust and probably move on. But we've seemed to have ridden out the storms of the past couple of years, and I can't say that next year or the year after won't be stormy again. But I'm not utilizing any of the E&D even for the operating. And part of the issue is I don't even know what my E&D is going to be because it hasn't been certified and I don't know when it will be by DOR because I'm pretty sure we got some of our paperwork in a little bit late this year, which is an ongoing issue we're having with our business office at Silver Lake.
Not good.
No, not good at all. But last year I predicted because I'm into this kind of stuff. I did the math. I said our E&D was going to come back at above 5%, and it did. This year I don't have that warm fuzzy feeling. I think we might get a few dollars back into E&D and end up getting certified closer to a 2 or 3% of what we're allowed to have in there. But again, if we have 2 or 3% in there and we have a major catastrophic event on the roof of the building, maybe that's where the 3 towns go to draw from to take care of that catastrophic event. That's what we used to do with E&D back in the day. We used it as a piggy bank for a really bad situation. And I'd love to see us get back to that and have it as a backdrop to help facilitate catastrophic events at the schools.
So, can I ask a question about how our opinion compares to those of the other two towns
You
as it
can.
relates to this? I mean,
Yep.
do we have to have all three on board to have it work? Like, what happens if we say yes and the others say no?
Well, I
You
mean,
have to say yes. Do two say yes? Is that-
Yeah,
it's going to
this is
be
always a little fuzzy for us.
yeah, it's going to be a two say yes, and then it carries because it's in the operating budget. So Carl Pike was at the meeting. I know many of you know Carl. He was a longtime finance committee, now a member of the Select Board of Kingston. And he, as an individual, not speaking for his committee, said he thought it was a brilliant idea and a way to move forward. Um, he did not know whether or not Kingston was currently paying that exempt capital out of their own exempt capital or from their operating budget. And since they're so close to their levy, he didn't know if it might actually precipitate an override vote, even though it's going to be a net zero effect on the taxpayer, just to move from exempt capital into operating dollars. That was his one question. I am going to present to them in February on the 10th, I believe, and I'm going to speak to our friends in Halifax tomorrow evening. So Halifax has stated that they would obviously love to have every dollar they can to deal with their operating budget situation right now. But they understand also that this is a ticking time bomb if we don't take care of the facilities of those two buildings over there on the campus. So I don't know where anyone's going to land on this. And that's why I'm doing the rounds this early in the year before we get too far into budget season.
Catherine, if it's helpful in terms of the fire station, when the former Town Properties Committee was calculating the anticipated cost per taxpayer for the new station, they did assume having access to the Dennett debt roll-off, but they did not assume anything as far as the Silver Lake debt, because some of the membership of the former TPC was also aware of some of the Silver Lake capital issues going on.
Liz, I appreciate you bringing that up. I have presented to town properties every single year for the past 4 years or so.
Yes.
I haven't been invited in to see the new group of people who's currently leading the charge, but I was very clear that even 4 years ago, that when the Silver Lake debt rolled off, that we did have plans to try and recoup some of it. Now, we did let some of it roll off. If you look back over several years, you can see a diminishing in how much Plympton has been paying back towards
Right.
capital. We're just at the point right now where 1.3 million is a big enough number for us to get a couple projects done, but not such a big number that we thought it would stoke fear into the hearts of taxpayers and finance committees of the three towns. So this was very strategically thought out. That's also why we had the engineering and architectural report done last year, was realizing we were getting close to both of the debts really rolling off, like totally. And why we're coming forward with this information to you all tonight. If you read the report, the engineering report, it's probably more dire than I'm letting on. But again, I have some suspicion that these reports are sometimes goosed a little in some directions. And my facilities people are telling me, yes, some of the projects they think are being a little overstated, but they're also pointing out some projects that didn't even make the list that they think are pretty important for the campus as well. So it's a big problem, $56 million worth of repairs, but again, it's better than building two brand new schools for $500 million. And those numbers aren't facetious either. Lexington's currently building a high school for $660 million. Brockton's building a high school for $700 million. Now, those are both communities with much bigger high schools than ours. So that's why I'm saying if we had to do both buildings, it would be close to the $500 million. And obviously, we would approach MSBA with that. That's the Mass School Building Authority, and they try and reimburse at 40 to 60%, but they don't view us as needy towns. So we are closer to the 40% reimbursement.
Mhm.
We shouldn't even be thinking about that with schools that are just about 25 years old. We should be thinking about how do we maintain these and get another 25 to 50 years out of both of these buildings. And that's what I'm trying to do with this engineering report is going to need new roofs. I mean, $10 million just for the high school roof. And I need to probably do that in about 8 to 10 years. Right. So again, this is part of why the $1.3 million to secure it now for facilities repair and capital makes sense from my perspective.
When do you think Kingston will make a decision?
Well, again, I'm not seeing them until I believe February 10th. So far, the feedback I've gotten informally from people I've spoken with has been extremely positive. But again, that's been as individuals and nobody speaking for any committee.
Mhm.
Having Carl Pike publicly say that he thinks it's a good plan means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to the citizens of Kingston, especially those who know his background on the finance committee over the years.
Do you want an answer from us tonight?
No, I don't need an answer from you tonight. I just wanted to make sure that I updated you, brought you up to speed. I did not want you hearing this through the grapevine. I want you all to know that you can reach out to me individually if you have any input, any questions. When I went to the library, I went there because I saw somebody posted on Plympton helping Plympton, and I knew they would be there, and I wanted to answer the question face to face. And when I was done, he walked right up to me and goes, "That was simple. I appreciate you coming down and explaining it to us."
This has been very helpful for us.
I'm not
Mhm.
going to engage on Plympton helping Plympton, just so you all know. Like I don't go there at all. I have my own Facebook page where I put some of this information. And by the way, the engineering report, I have a link to that on my Facebook page, or I can email it to any of you individually. It's a public document. It's pretty eye-opening of some of the challenges we're going to be having. But I appreciate your time. I wanted to make sure we just talked face to face before I went too far with this.
Glad you did.
Thank
Yeah.
Do we want to think about this a little more? Or do we want to make a recommendation?
Not a whole lot to think about, really.
I'm in favor of the proposal with the net zero.
I agree.
Catherine, what do you think?
I think it's the path of least resistance. Um, it's one of those like it's if we're just looking at it in a vacuum, like how do we handle just this? It seems like a brilliant way to do it. It's just there's so much else going on in our world that I'm a little hesitant to just like put all the eggs in that basket, but at the same time, it's like, well, I don't know where we're going to get the money for everything anyways, so we may as well solve this one problem as best we can. And then,
For this year, anyway.
yeah, exactly.
I tend to agree with you. Yeah, where it's net zero, I think.
Right.
And I appreciate that because that allows me to go into my meeting at Silver Lake at the beginning of February and continue to push on to my administration to make the cuts I need to get the budget to 2.5%. There's going to be quite a bit of resistance from some parents and from teachers when we talk about actual cuts happening. But I think we're in a situation where to keep things sustainable for the three towns, that's the only avenue we have left before we know a little bit more, maybe, of where some revenue sources from the state and the federal government might be coming from. But all of the indications are right now that we're going to have to make these tough decisions locally, and we can't count on the state or the feds to bail us out this year. So I appreciate you guys listening and giving your feedback, so I know that I can continue to push on making some of those cuts at the Silver Lake level and pursuing this idea. So thank you for your time tonight.
Well, thank you for your presentation. It's very helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, moving on. We have the minutes of the November 17th meeting. Have you all had the opportunity to read them? And do you see anything that needs to be corrected, added, or removed?
I did not.
Did
Move
not
to
either.
accept as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
Aye. That's unanimous.
Marilyn,
Yes,
for Zoom purposes, could you just do a roll call vote and have each member individually, confirm their vote?
yes. Dan Cadigan, how do you vote on the minutes of the November 17th meeting?
I vote to accept.
Okay, Steve Lewis,
Vote to accept.
Catherine Shepherd,
accept.
Marilyn Brown also accepts them as written. Thank you. It's unanimous. Liz, do we have anything else we need to do tonight?
I don't think anything too specific. For the next meeting, I'd like to get the police department taken care of as far as their fiscal 27 budget. And then maybe the following meeting after that, we can get into the fire department budget. As far as the other budgets that have come in, there aren't any real surprises at this point in time. They're all right around like a 2.5-ish percentage as far as increase goes. I think for our next meeting, if we have the police department in and look at that budget and also start to see if we have some articles that have come in, I think that that would probably be a good plan schedule wise. For the current fiscal year, we do have a pretty significant shortfall in our legal budget. The Board of Health has been involved in some litigation, and that's the bulk of the cost. We also have some land use things that are going on. And it's all like important litigation, that if we didn't pursue it, it could change the character of the town. So it's not anything that's, certainly not being done wastefully, but it is a significant shortfall. So it's just something to keep in mind. My assumption is that we're probably going to have to put something on the special town meeting possibly to address that. I don't think that it would be wise to let it go to the end of the year and look at a reserve fund transfer or something like that. The other departmental budgets, though, are for the most part right on track for where they should be at this point in the fiscal year. So that's going well as far as the individual departments. But like I said, we do have that shortfall in legal. Also, a little bit of a shortfall in the Medicaid budget line. And my understanding is that there's an employee collecting unemployment from the school department. And that was not anticipated. So the unemployment line is also going to have a shortfall. But operationally, the departments are holding pretty well where they need to be for right now.
Good. Does anybody else have anything they want to bring up? Hearing nothing. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
With Steve Lewis. Okay, Dan Cadigan,
I will second that.
Catherine.
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor as well. So thank you all very much. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.